Hello and welcome to our Platform Academy. We are thrilled to kick off this session right at the top of the hour. I am Sharon Barnes, your Platform Outbound Product Manager and today's host. And we have an incredible session lined up for you today with Lisa and Victor, and I can't wait for us to dive in. And of course, a quick reminder to practice Safe Harbor. We might share some exciting new features today, so let's keep everything compliant with those best practices. Now, let's get to the good stuff. I am thrilled to introduce our fantastic speakers, Lisa and Victor, who will take us on a journey through building workflows to be used as tools in AI agents. So without further ado, let us give a warm welcome to our speakers. Victor, go ahead and take it away.
Hi, Sharon. Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me. So as some of you may wonder, you're like, wait a minute. Victor usually does the AI Academies on Tuesdays. What is he doing on Platform Academy on Thursday? Well, look, we are one big happy team, one big happy family. And our product, as you guys are all aware, you know, they overlap a lot. There are a lot of synergies, and I do mean the word synergies, between taking products like Workflow and products like Now Assist, combining them to make it even more powerful outcomes for you. And one of that is we're going to show today in terms of combining workflows as tools with AI agents.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa Hohenstein. I used to run the Platform Academy. I created a lot of content on workflow automation lately, so I will be covering the section on workflows, flows, flow actions, and I also cover decision tables and playbooks as products. I'm also a Platform Outbound Product Manager in the same team and work together with Sharon and Victor to create this content for you.
So with that, let's jump right in. So some of you were wondering, like, hey, let me give a brief, for those of you who don't know as much about AI agents, let me give a brief overview. So, the advantage that AI agents provides to you is more automation for high variability and high complexity workflows. Some of you are, or many of you, are probably familiar with more deterministic workflows you can build in the Now platform, whether that be flow actions of Subflows in Workflow Studio, whether that be virtual agent topics, whether that be, scripts, etc. And those have been very useful up to now, but there haven't been as dynamic as possible. It may not always account for as many scenarios as you'd like, and there's always that long tail of, oh, the workflow can't do this, someone, human's gonna have to jump in and help, right? But with the benefits of agentic workflows powered by a large language model, you are going to be able to cover more of those workflows, more of those business problems you have. They're able to understand the background context and the data and the intents that a user or perhaps an end customer is looking for. And, all the stuff, all the things and investments that you built in the past still apply, still can be usable for agentic workflows, which you're going to see in a moment. So here you can see that we start with an agentic workflow, which is the why of the why this AI agent is built, right? And this agentic workflow contains teams of AI agents. And these teams of AI agents, they could be out-of-box agents for IT, they could be custom agents that you built, right? And they're all being orchestrated by we call it an orchestrator, which is a large language model that does the reasoning, the planning, etc. And these AI agents utilize tools such as skills, Now Assist skills. It can do search, but then it could also do workflows like subflows and actions in order to complete the objectives of the HR agents, who then completes the objectives of your agentic workflows. So how to get started. So AI agents is part of Pro Plus or Enterprise Plus SKU. You do need also to upgrade to the latest Yokohama patch or Xanadu patch. The minimum release patch is there on the slides there. Of course, you need the store app. You also need now AI search and now analysis panel turned on. Also, don't forget to upgrade Workflow Studio, because that's what we're going to be doing today, Workflow Studio plus AI agents. And then the other thing to consider when building AI agents is to maintain, make sure that your ticket data, your knowledge base data, et cetera, is up to date, is reliable, accurate, et cetera. As with any AI system, the data that it's built on is important and will reflect the quality of your AI output. So just keep that in mind as you're not only doing, AI management, but also workflow management and knowledge management, et cetera. So here's some quick tips on how to design effective AI agent prompts. So if we just keep on going there, you want to make sure that you define a good role for your agent. Tell your agent, hey, this is what you're here for. This is what you can do. This is what you cannot do. And what this does in the background, this affects proficiency, right? This determines the AI agent's proficiency, which then informs the orchestrator, okay, how does this AI agent fit into the broader picture, fit into the team of AI agents or within the agentic workflow. So make sure you define a good role for your AI agents. Make sure that in your steps, you specify what your AI agent should do. So, each a step should be as few actions, preferably one, but as few actions as possible. You're not, putting too many compound sentences in each step. If you have a tool, make sure that your tool is referenced in that step. Make sure you provide success criteria to say, hey, only after this is completed or this certain goal is met can you continue. So, it's called gating or gates in a prompt. Make sure that your inputs and outputs are properly communicated. And then finally, list any constraints that your agent must respect, right? Like what can your agent should be able to do or should not do, or what should or should not happen before you continue. And if you can't continue, like what are the fallback mechanisms? So be specific, as specific as you can, and that prevents a lot of failures as well. Yeah, same thing as with verifications, right? So just make sure that you provide those validations on your reasoning. Make sure you provide checks on edge cases. So, look, AI agents can't. It can cover a lot, but it can't cover everything. So make sure you say, hey, if, for example, and we'll cover this in the demo, a universal request number can't be found, do this. Or if there's some error in a tool, do this, etc. And then what also helps is mandating explicit confirmation before finalizing outputs. So, telling the AI agent, hey, before you say something is done, has this been completed, etc. So verification also prevents a lot of failures for your AI agents. Termination conditions. So you do want to make sure that your AI agent has an end state. Like, hey, after all this has been completed or executed, you can end, or you can do some other thing, hand off to some other agent, or etc. Right? Telling your AI agent to just end isn't necessarily required, but it is helpful. And especially as you're testing your AI agents, if you're, getting to looping situations or getting to situations where the AI agent is just kind of stuck processing, it may be helpful to say, hey, make sure that, after these steps are completed, you can end. After these deliverables have been verified, you know, move on to this next. You must, not you must, but move on to this next step, etc. That prevents a lot of failures in terms of, again, looping, spinning, all those things where the AI agent would appear stuck or not know what to do next. Great. So that's what I have for AI agents. I'll now turn it over to Lisa to talk workflow automation.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right, so on the workflow automation side, you will see just later in the demo that you can use, and we highlighted that before in the one slide, you can use flows, subflows, and flow actions and other tools in your AI agents. So for those of you who haven't touched workflow automation on the ServiceNow platform before, I'll give you a quick overview. Workflow automation is at the heart of this platform. So we're driving automation and processes for your enterprise. This is the deterministic workflow side that Victor highlighted earlier. And it is still an important component in our AI agent world because some of the work just needs to be 100% correct. So there are always regulations. You will have some important factors that need to be audited, auditable. So you'll need the documentation in your instance, what really happened. So giving your AI agents the possibility to use workflow automation tools like flows and playbooks, that is really the most important part, and that you make your workflows truly intelligent. And that is really one of the things that we also try to do is we want to empower anyone to automate workflow without code. And being able to connect that with agent intelligence makes things even more powerful. In the workflow side, we have, as mentioned, flows. Those are purposeful automation, so we can create reusable flows and subflows, and also atomic automation components as actions, flow actions. Playbooks are a way to connect previously siloed steps and have a holistic view of your business processes. All of the playbook activities are driven by flows, subflows, or flow actions. And the playbook experience adds another UX context and UX guided layer for your agents to walk through. The important part here, and this is a little bit of a safe harbor statement, is that we will be infusing our playbooks with the power of AI agents going forward, having AI agents help us complete steps in a playbook, but also the other way around. We will be providing steps to natively run AI agents and AI agent workflows from flows and from playbooks. So you can really weave those together and not just call flows and subflows or actions from your AI agents, but the other way around as well. Furthermore, in the workflow automation suite, we have decision tables. This is a product that eliminates manual data entry and allows you to decouple your decision logic from your flows and playbooks and hand over ownership to the process owners. And then, of course, the GenAI side of things, in our modern workflow automation toolkit, we enable and accelerate GenAI adoption by using Now Assist for workflows to generate flows and playbooks, but also run these steps from our automation. Additionally, this supports and builds the foundation for our workflow data fabric initiative. So we bring together data that can live anywhere and also workflows, but intelligent workflows. So this combination of playbooks, workflows, AI and assists and agents, and the data that lives anywhere in your enterprise is a really powerful connection. As I said, flows and actions are the core part that we will look at today when we talk about our AI agents. And the thing about creating subflows and flow actions as tools for AI agents is really important because this allows smarter, more modular, and also scalable automation. Subflows are reusable and self-contained workflows that perform specific tasks like creating a record, sending a notification, or updating status. They have inputs and outputs, and the outputs can then also be used in further steps of your AI agent process. Similarly, for flow actions, they also have inputs and outputs, but they are even more atomic. They represent one individual step or operation within a flow or an AI agent that can be exposed as a callable tool. Why is this important? The important part is because AI agents can be most effective when they can act autonomously, but also reliably. So instead of embedding all of the logic directly into the agent, we equip it with a toolkit of subflows and actions it can call on demand. This approach mirrors how we also delegate tasks. We don't reinvent the process every time. We use the known and trusted methods. The big benefits here are obvious. We have reusability. Subflows and actions can be reused across multiple agents and scenarios and reduce duplication and development time. They're modular by breaking down logic into smaller parts that make that easier to test, maintain, and also evolve. It also provides a piece of consistency to your agents. Agents calling the same tools ensure that the behavior will be the same across use cases, or at least as similar as same as it can be for agentic AI. And then lastly, scalability. As your automation landscape grows, this structure will keep it manageable and more efficient. So as an example, if an AI agent is responsible for onboarding new users, it can call a subflow to create accounts, another to assign permissions or roles, and then a third to send welcome emails. Each of these can be maintained independently and reused in other contexts, like offboarding or role changes. All in all, we can say that exposing subflows and flow actions as tools make AI agents much more flexible and also enterprise-grade collaborators. It is not just a best practice, but also a way to build AI that really scales with your business. And with that, I think I'm going to kick it over to Victor. And while Victor is setting up the screen share, I'll address the question. Do playbooks extend beyond the Now platform? That is a really good question, Andy. They don't by themselves, but because each and every action and subflow that is run in the playbook subflow in the playbook execution plan, we of course can make use of any integrations that you have set up on your instance. So if, for example, you're using the Workday spoke to do your HR processes and update data in Workday, that can of course be also done through playbooks. So any integrations that you have set up, any integrations that you're using, any remote data that you have from your different systems that you can access from your ServiceNow platform through integrations or zero copy options. That is, of course, possible from playbooks as well. All right, over to you, Victor.
Thank you, Lisa. So I hope you all can see my screen. Let me know if you can't. And then, so this is the AI Agent Studio, and I'm going to give you guys a little tour of what the studio looks like, and I'm going to give you a little tour of an AI agent that I built as an exercise or as a demo that uses flow actions and subflows, and Lisa could help tag team with me there. How do you get here? You basically, so once you have an instance, you're licensed for Pro Plus, and you're on that Yokohama or that late Yokohama or Xanadu release, you installed the store app, right? You just go to AI Agent. Oops, come on now. AI Agent, and here's your AI Agent Studio. You can go to Overview, Create Management, et cetera, et cetera. I just came here to Overview, and this is what you get. So you get a lot of we provide for you a lot of out of box agentic workflows for you to look at, as well as AI agents for you to look at. And you can see a list of them here. This is just a sampling. I can click view all, but we don't need to get into the whole list there. Agentic workflows, and then AI agents, okay? Now let me click into this AI agent here that I created for the purposes of our Academy today. So like I mentioned, here we have the name of the agent, the description of the agent, and the role of the agent. So this information, all this information, again, goes back to that role specificity that I mentioned. Like, you want to make sure you have a good AI agent name and description, as well as a good AI agent role, so that the orchestrator knows what to do with, with your AI agent, what it should be able to do, what it shouldn't be able to do, etc. And then each AI agent has instructions, and these instructions are more detailed step by step as to, okay, how do I approach this problem? So this problem that we're doing, or this business objective that we're doing, is task creation. It's creating incidents or HR cases based on a universal request. So what should it be able to do in order to do that? We have to analyze the data in the universal request, determine whether, hey, this should either be an incident or an HR case, and then go ahead and create that ticket, whether, again, it be an IT incident or an HR case. I won't describe everything step by step, but I'll try to go as briefly as I can, just for the sake of brevity here. But your first step is to analyze the universal request. This will use a tool, which I'll show in a moment here, called get universal request details, basically. And it's going to take the short description to make that determination, like, hey, is this an HR request or an IT request? And for some of you may be familiar with this. This is like few shop promptings. Like, I'll give you, the orchestrator, some examples of what an HR case should be, some examples of what an IT case incident should be, and then use this as sort of a guide, right? Step 2, actual creation of the incident and HR case, right? Based on that ticket type, do this or that, and that if then statement's you're gonna see that in the subflow there. Call this tool. You see each step I'm kind of referencing the tool, and then I'm creating a validation gate, right? Like, hey, verify that that new ticket or case was received. Make sure that all information was properly carried over from the universal request to either the incident or the case, etc. And create that summary to the end user. Say, hey, hey, AI agent, I did something for you. Go ahead and check it out, right? And then again, fallback. If any error happened during ticket creation, it shouldn't happen a lot, but whatever. You can tell the orchestrator. You can tell the orchestrator to say, I encountered an issue while trying to create the new ticket, et cetera, so that the end user doesn't get like a bad error message or doesn't get stuck. That's what that's what you're really trying to avoid, again, with these verification specifications that I mentioned in the slides. Reduces human error or the perception of error. So once you create the instructions, you can then add tools to your AI agent. Now here, you can add a variety of tools. These are just, these are all of it. But hey, this is a Platform Academy. I've got Lisa on the call. So I'm only going to add 2 tools here. One's a flow action, one's a subflow. I can briefly show the flow action. That one's probably a bit more straightforward. I'll have Lisa cover the subflow. So the flow action here, as an AI agent tool, you get, again, name, description, and then you select the flow action. This isn't, because I have one selected, it doesn't show you all of the flow actions. But if I were to delete, the name here, every flow action that you have in your scope was available for you to select. And then if I click this button here, it actually opens up the flow action. We can take a quick look at it. And then you can see, hey, I took an input from the AI agent, the universal request number. It has to be a string. So that's a good thing to call out, by the way. For all the inputs and outputs from your flow actions and subflows, it needs to be string format. And unfortunately, it does not take any other input or output type. It does a lookup of that universal request, and then it outputs, hey, here's a short description, here's a description. If you recall in the steps, the AI agent would then take that short description. It would then, number 1, determine whether it's an HR or an IT ticket type. And then number 2, then create that incident or HR case accordingly. So that's what this flow action does. And as Lisa mentioned, got inputs, got step, got outputs. So then I need that tool to create incident or HR case. Again, you got a description here, like, hey, here's some things you should do, here's some things you must do, etc. And then I select the subflow I called create incident or HR case. I add a little agent tag just to let people know, like, hey, this is for AI agents. And I'll let Lisa kind of give this a walkthrough.
Right. Thank you. Let me see. So I am stealing the share. Yes, I am. There we go. Cool. So Victor took us from the AI agent with the tool settings and so on over into our workflow studio. Here we can see the inputs and outputs. In this case, as we said, it is everything is a string. That makes it easier for the AI agent to process these. In our workflow studio, of course, when building flows and flow actions, we have access to all of the tools that we have for any automation. We don't want to make these too complicated to make sure they still stay reusable and self-contained. But you can, for example, instead of going the if then else route to identify which type of case or incident or whatever to create, instead you could also make use of a decision table with the make a decision option. In our case, we'll stick with the if else because it's a simple use case to demo the capabilities, but really the options are endless. So you have a lot of options. You can use integrations. You can call other third-party systems. You can look up remote data. You can not just make decisions, but also run any automation that you might find is necessary for your agents. You can start simple, but at the end of the day, it is always a question of what your use case requires. And the whole toolkit is really available to you. Here we're looking up the universal request by the input, the ticket number that was provided. And we'll also check the category of that that we input. So if we input a ticket type called HR that was identified as an HR record, then we will use the create record action to create an HR case. And then as an output, we want to make sure that our AI agents know what we created. So we will craft a response by concatenating text and data pills from the created record and hand that out to our AI agent. The same happens for incidents. So if this turns out to be an IT ticket, then we will do that. One more step that you could do at this point is make sure that no, I think this is the connection happens here. Yes. So what happens here is not only do you create a new record, a new tasks, but you also connect it to the universal request that was our input. So in this specific use case, what we do is the universal request field on the incident and also on the HR case or any other kind of task that you create from universal requests gets this reference so you can find it later on. And then we hand this over to the bot again. I will run a quick test if I find which of course I closed earlier, my universal requests. I will just take one of these and use the number and see what happens if I run this flow. We'll have the ticket number. Here are demo notes. And we say this one is an IT ticket. Run the test for those of you who haven't seen flows in the platform yet. This is a really handy feature. We can run this and try out the flows and subflows that we create to make sure they run correctly. And as we see, we found the universal request by the number that I picked out, and it correctly identified that this is not an HR ticket, but it is IT. So it compared the string that I used, gave it from the input, and then subsequently created an incident for this one. And we can look this up. So now if we use this tool in our AI agent, it'll receive the information that it needs to proceed. And that is this one. The status is success, and we have a new incident number, and now the AI agent can continue to do its thing. Right. Do we have more on the demo on this part, or do we move further? Did you want to show the AI agent in action in the test feature?
Yeah, we can't let our folks hang in just by without showing them how the AI agent runs. So I'll go
Nice.
ahead and take screen share back. Give me 1 second here. Replace desktop.
Do you need a new test case, or do we have enough? I think we still had some. Yes.
Yeah. So where were we? So yeah, now we're back in AI agent tools land. And as you saw, we have that subflow with its inputs and outputs. And you can kind of see, you can start hopefully grok like the description we have for the tool, how that relates to subflow, and then the instructions we had back for the AI agents on how to use that subflow. Okay. So with that, let's go ahead and same continue. You can create a trigger if you want. You don't have to. You could define the availability, make sure it's set to active, make sure you could display it in virtual agent if you want. Otherwise, it can appear on now it's just panel, which is why I tell you all to enable it. But then if you click save and continue or next, you could we have a testing tool. You can actually test your AI agent or your agentic workflow. So here I'm going to test with the universal request. And I forgot what my universal request number is. I'm going to go look it up. So let's go back to the main screen here. I'll show you what the universal requests I have that are open. I think I've got like 2 or 3. Yeah, I've got a laptop one, well, it sounds like an email one, and it sounds like an HR one, right? Now, I'll admit I cheated a little bit because in my few shop prompting, I actually gave email and leave policy examples to categorize IT HR. But I think through your testing, you may be able to find that your orchestrator is a little smarter than that as well. Your orchestrator, because of the LLM, it does have some general knowledge as well. So you don't have to call out every single example when you few shop prompt, but obviously giving some will always help, if anything, as a starting barometer. So with that, I'm going to copy and paste this universal request number, go back here, type that in, and start my test. And you start to see that, you'll have like a visual indication as well as a visual, as well as a simulation as to what the user is going to see when they run this AI agent and what the thought processes of this AI agent is. So you can see it's using the get universal request tool. This agent is probably going to run faster than I can talk, but you can kind of start to see the React engine thinking, and it says, this sounds like an IT incident because of the information in here. I'm ready to create something. Is it okay to proceed? this is also an example of a gate, right? Rather than running everything automatically, sometimes you do want to ask the user for permission to proceed to create something or to do something. It's going to run the tool. This message is optional, but you can turn this off because this one isn't very like user friendly. But this conversational summary, remember that step I did for in the AI agent, was instruction and was something that I do want to show my user. You can see that incident one, this has been created. If I go back here, I'm going to go duplicate my tab here. And if I go to the incident table, may not need to copy that ID. It's probably, yeah, right here. Incident created. My laptop's overheating, and then it creates that work note. So let me see if that's done here. Short description carried over, description carried over, and then my AI agent said, "Hey, my task creation agent, create that work notes in terms of what happened, special handling, all that stuff." This portion was AI. This text was AI generated. These two items were carried over by the through the UR. Okay, so that's IT. Now, just to show you that I can do this magic trick twice, and that I didn't just hard code it for IT. Let's take the other universal request here. So here's the universal request 1003 for about leave policy here. I can start the test. It's going to go through the steps again. It's going to get the details again. It says, you know what? This sounds more like this sounds like it should be meant for an HR case. Can I create that? Is it okay to proceed? Yes or no? Let's click yes or type yes. And I get an error, which is good because it actually tries to create an HR case. I probably can't, AI agent user, or even if I was an admin, can't always create an HR case, which goes to show you this is an actual HR case, not like some mock ticket or ticket type that I created. So you get the error. Again, this bracketing message, is optional to be shown once you deploy the AI agent. But the real user-facing error, again, we created a validation gate. We said, hey, if anything wrong happens, let them off gently with the conversational summary, what went wrong, and that's what you get this message here. And then the end user goes to the developer, hey, what happened? And the developer sees all this and knows, okay, it's a scope issue. I need to fix that. Maybe go into scope access privileges or add a role or do something with the trigger persona.
So I think that was all of the demo that we did want to show, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So let's wrap it out with some lessons learned. We have a few things that we learned from our working with AI agents and creating content and enablement for you guys. One of the things that we want to make sure that working with Gen AI is different than working with deterministic systems. So slightly different inputs or even the same inputs might provide different results when you run them again. And that is really something that you need to anticipate and prevent with the common failure modes and strategies that we talked about earlier. Keeping it simple makes these systems a lot more robust. So make sure that each of the steps that you describe are very clearly stated. Try to make sure that you stick with single processing steps for each or small use cases for those tools that you use, and then iterate based on performance of your agents. It is very important to give clear instructions, as we saw. Use structured sections, use headers and maybe bullet points, or enumerate. Include examples of correct agent behavior and combine that with structural clarity, but also have verification requirements for this to work. And I think that is, in all, the most important part. We would love to hear more questions from you on this topic. And meanwhile, I will leave these here and we'll also post these in the blog after. So for example, one of the links that we have The CreatorCon lab that this demo was based on is a lab that Victor ran at Knowledge, and it is available on our ServiceNow University. So if you're interested in getting your hands on this and trying this out, you can find this on the Now Learning platform, and we would love for you to try this out. If you want more information on how AI works on the ServiceNow platform, you can find this in the community as well, and also training and enablement on flows.
I certainly learned a lot about workflows today, being from across the pond in AI land. So this is helpful for me.
I think Sharon has one or two things she needs to share, right?
I do always like to remind people we are thrilled to have you join us for our Platform Academy. There are multiple other academies as well. Feel free to either scan the QR code or head to the link to get more information about our other academies. We also have an opportunity for feedback. These sessions are so important because your insight and your feedback helps drive us to build the best product out there. So what this does is by filling out this quick form, allows us to reach out to your team to set up a meeting and potentially get that feedback from you. We would love to have you participate in that. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. Victor, Lisa, thank you so much for bringing your expertise to our Platform Academy. It was a great information session, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Have a beautiful day, everyone. We hope to see you soon.
Thank you all for joining us. Thank you so
Thank you,
much, and
everyone.
for your
Take care.
questions and comments. Have a great day.
Bye. All.
Bye.